So our first speaker is Leonard Impiri. He is the director of the Yalupa or the Papua Villagers Foundation. He is currently the General Secretary of the Papua Customary Council and a member of the Papua Presidium Council. He studied in the Theological School in Jayapura in West Papua and graduated in Training Teacher and Education Faculty of Indonesia Christian University in North Sulawesi. He will speak on the Dani peoples of West Papua and their struggle for self-determination and liberation. Please welcome Mr. Leonard Impiri. Each speaker has 10 minutes to speak, so please try to keep within your time. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank the organizer and the moderator for giving me the time to speak here. When I was here, some people asked me about my place. Where is West Papua? Next. And therefore, I will start my presentation by showing where is exactly West Papua. West Papua in the Pacific Ocean share the border with Papua New Guinea. Now, West Papua consists of 2 provinces, and since 2003, we identify 7 regencies, cultural regencies. Dani people is one of the biggest tribes in West Papua, is in the highlands, and the population of Dani people is around 400. The name Dani is exactly the name given by the expedition from America and Dutch. The traditional name is Hubla or Lani. If we're talking about self-determination and liberation, I would like to divide my presentation into 3 seasons of the history of Dani people. The first is in the traditional time, or in the old time, the Dani people practice their self-determination and liberation by acknowledge the leadership and ceremonies in the traditional society. There are 3 types of leadership. The first is what they call kain. Kain is the leadership in the clan. And the second level is the leadership in the moiety. Is the compound of 2 clans together. And the third leadership is what they call alliance war or confederate war. And they are also acknowledged 4 kinds of ceremonies. The first is what they call peak ceremony. These ceremonies was done to celebrate the peace among the people when they come to agreement after they have traditional war. The second ceremony is wedding ceremony, where 2 clans can become one, or they will, because when they want to get married, sometimes they can get for each other. So this ceremony also can help them to come together, and usually the woman's side can give something to the man, or vice versa. The third ceremony is about initiation of the young people to become adult people. And the fourth ceremony is the death ceremony, where the families will cut some of their fingers, throw it to the cremacy places to show that they will part of the dead body. On the second level, I would like to explain a little bit what comes after they have interaction with the outsider. The first is with the missionary. When they have interaction with the missionary, the main confrontation is about the religion. Because usually, like other people in Papua, missionary wants them to live their belief and become a Christians by means of to be baptized. And also in some part, they also become Muslims, and because in the highlands, especially Dani people, they usually eat pig, and when they become Muslims, they are not touched with the pig, and this become the big confrontations among Dani peoples, and the new religions comes to them. The second era is when the Dutch time. Dutch came to Papua, Dutch government came to Papua, it's around 1945 to 1962. But exactly, they only worked for around 5 years, because this time is the confrontation time among Indonesian government and Dutch government about this political status of the Papua. So, what the Dutch government did was they trying to introduce new government structure down to the village. But in this time, there is no big confrontation among Dani people and Dutch government, because the Dutch government still acknowledge the structure, the traditional structure that exists in the time which exists in the Dani society. And the third area, that era is with the Indonesian government. This is, we call the sad era, because since we were occupied, since West Papua integrated to Indonesia, this area became a military operation area for almost 40 years. And this time, the people didn't have opportunity to speak out for their rights, and they cannot practice their self-determination and liberation. In this area, many Dani people were killed. One of the massive killings is in 1978, where around 1,000 to 5,000 people were killed in massive killings by the military. And what the people did in this era is they only organized themselves in armed struggle to fight against the military and the government. On the other hand, the government policies, the development policies introduced by the government is top-down policies, where all the plan is done by the central government. So, on the other hand, the central government introduced the government structure going from provincial level down to village level, and therefore they also change the traditional structure that exists in the people in the communities, and this is one of the road goals become conflicts with the government. So the other things to face this, the government, the people continue to practice to have dualism structure, because on the other hand there is a government structure in the village, but the people also still practice their traditional structure. They still have opportunity to practice their knowledge and ceremonies, but sometimes it depends on the situation if the government allows them to practice all these knowledge, the ceremonies, and to also use the structure to resolve the problems. But also sometimes if the conflict and the government cannot resolve the problems, and they will use the leaders, the traditional leaders, to resolve the problems among them. So what happened after Reformation, after the fall of Suharto? I call new ways of struggle.